So, we have the answer to the question as to who we're playing in the next round of the FA Cup. Of course, it's Manchester United. I don't know if you watched the game. I did. Thought it was a decent game. Highly entertaining. Lots of ebb and flow to it. But as the game went on, I sort of found myself wanting it to be Liverpool more and more. Quite a shift, really. I think for two reasons. I think Liverpool have gone that way and Man United have gone that way. And they're sort of meeting in the middle. Just in terms of the game itself, I think it's hard to read into it too much that we have two managers desperate to win the FA Cup. I think that this game was more about ego, a bit of chest being puffed. Yes, sorry, I don't know what you thought that was. That was someone's chest being puffed out. I think it was more about ego, more about reputation. Very much more Liverpool against Man United, Klopp against Solskjaer than it was a desire to progress through to play West Ham in the next round of the FA Cup. As I mentioned in previous videos, I think they both have bigger fish to fry. That being said, I just think with this whole ego thing and the reputation of the clubs, I think it's symbolic in terms of the title race if one beats the other. It's a little minor upper hand, and I think any time we've seen, perhaps Liverpool when they won their treble, didn't they, which was 2 domestic cups and possibly the UEFA Cup as it was then, something like that. And of course, Manchester United won their treble, which was the league title, the FA Cup, and of course the Champions League. There's often a momentum shift in that when you're beating your main domestic rival. So sometimes these games, even if they are only in the Cup, are sort of significant. I think it's significant for David Moyes. And this sort of feeds into the narrative that David Moyes wants to go and prove his former employers wrong by getting rid of him. And certainly, I do believe that he may have reason to feel hard done by. Not the only time Moyes was going to go on to feel hard done by. He'll feel hard done by West Ham for sacking him the first time. We'll get into that in a minute. But certainly, he'll feel hard done by Manchester United because the guys that immediately followed him didn't really do any better. And it's actually taken quite a long time, which I think shows you quite how good Sir Alex Ferguson was, particularly to win the league title with the team that he left in his final season. I also think it plays into some quite interesting comments that were on this channel just yesterday. We had one which said that he felt David Moyes was given a bit of a rough ride and we should perhaps consider that he had been headhunted and cherry-picked by Sir Alex Ferguson to be his successor, and there were good reasons for that. Actually, his record at Everton was really, really good. Also, somebody pointed out that in one of the newspapers yesterday, there was a column where one of the journalists had suggested that if David Moyes wasn't in the shake-up for manager of the season, then he certainly should be. Now, that I found interesting as well, a sort of interesting angle and something, nice for us to talk about. And it's too early to talk about the manager of the season, but we're at a halfway point, so it's certainly worth discussing. It's not after 3 games, is it? Let's be fair. And at half point of the season, I think it's fair to say. Now, let me just get back on to just quickly about the FA Cup and about the Manchester United link here. I do think David Moyes is going to be motivated. I do think he's perhaps more motivated for Man United than he would be with Liverpool. I found them quite frightening to watch, actually. I mean, it is sort of typical that Pogba now, after quite a long time, is starting to look like a world-class midfielder. I know he does for France, and he has done in the past, did for Juventus, but he picks and chooses his games for Manchester United, really, doesn't he? Rashford looked terrifying. Greenwood obviously was finishing really, really well, and even Luke Shaw looked like a very, very good left-back. I'm a little bit worried about how Fernandes is just brought off the bench to wreak havoc and cause damage to other teams, but I do wonder what sort of situation Manchester United will be in then. And as discussed before on previous days on this channel, if they are in with a massive title push, then hopefully just one eye taken off, the game of West Ham may well be enough for us to clinch victory. The players in the Man United team would have been fully aware of the symbolic nature of the victory against Liverpool and that it would impact their title challenge. That doesn't really matter with West Ham. But I do think for David Moyes that there's going to be just massive motivation for him to sort of... Will he prove them wrong? It's not about that. Actually, it may be something quite as crude and as basic as just having a right hump, feeling hard done by, and wanting to dump Manchester United out of the cup just to say, no, basically, which is quite puerile. But I think I probably would. Well, if I was in his position, we've already established I am not as mature as David Moyes. I don't mean just in terms of years. There ain't a lot in it, really. But I mean in terms of attitude. I feel he was very mature, as you know, for taking the job a second time at West Ham. I would have turned around and said, no, you can do one. Didn't like, you got rid of me the first time. Good bloody luck. Hire Chris Hughton or whatever the case may have been. But he's more mature and a more forgiving and pleasant person than I am, clearly. So, but I don't blame him if there is a little bit of revenge, stirring up the old loins, the old moisey, moist loins. Nasty. Wouldn't blame him for that at all. In terms of the likelihood of winning the tie, it's on. I mean, it really is. It's on. I thank everybody that joined me in the live stream yesterday and in the comments and everything, and everybody that joined me. All the boys joined me live for what we call the Sunday supplement, which hopefully should be a feature going forward. Not every Sunday, but maybe if we don't play on a Sunday, then we'll get everybody having a big old chat. Well, that was good. And I said in that I am excited by the Cup. I do think there's a possibility. Just because I've watched Manchester United play Liverpool, I'm not suddenly going to change my view that we can beat anyone on our day. We can beat anyone on our day. Just got to take the game seriously. And how it coincides with the matches we got before and after. As I understand it, it could be the Sheffield United game, could be the game before, quite possibly. That's quite important. It's important how we look at it, how we deal with it, and our attitude going into it. In terms of David Moyes, and he's vindicated anyway. Is he vindicated by Manchester United fans looking at him and thinking, oh, I wish we'd have kept old Moyesy there? No, that's never going to happen. But he's vindicated in as much as he has repaired his managerial reputation. So he can go there with his head held high. And also, I do believe he can go there, bearing in mind our last performance against Man United when we should have had it wrapped up by half-time. We should have been 3 or 4 goals ahead. The ball did go out of play for their first goal, so on and so forth. I think he can go in there confident that he's going to cause Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his backroom team, Carrick's in the backroom team actually, his backroom team enough to worry about. They've got enough to worry about with West Ham, and that's good, and that's good for us. In terms of what I said at the start, David Moyes being the manager of the year, we don't know. So let's look at the manager of the halfway point. I think to do that, you've got to really look at the teams in and around us. Now, funny enough, we've been talking about Manchester United. If we're Man United to go on and win the title, and they've won nothing yet, you wouldn't give it manager of the half year, 6-month manager of the 6 months or whatever it might have been. Would you give it to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the moment? Well, I think him getting dumped out of the Champions League, probably, that's quite significant. A big club like Manchester United, that's significant. If it's just looking at the Premier League, were he to win the league with Manchester United after what's happened, I think he'd be in with a shout. Let's be fair, they have spent an awful lot of money. The team's about Pep Guardiola, manager of the season. Yeah, I guess so, but they do spend a lot of money. I'm not seeing a special achievement there for Guardiola. I certainly would feel Guardiola would need to go and win the Champions League. Leicester City, Brendan Rodgers, you'd have to say that's a very, very good job. He would be in the mix. I mean, if they won the title, it's just his, and deservedly so. Brendan Rodgers gets Leicester into the top 2 or top 3 or something like that. Yeah, absolutely. He's in the mix as well. Liverpool, there's no way. There's no way. It's very hard. It's Klopp's fault. He set such high standards. It's going to be very, very difficult for him to match them. Tottenham, you know, for all the talk about Tottenham and so on and so forth, they're in 5th. If Tottenham go on and finish in the top 2, I think you would have cause to suggest that Jose Mourinho could be in the shout for manager of the year. I think it would be fair. If they stay around 5th, then no, it's not. Nothing's really changed for them, has it? Let's be fair. Everton are in 6th, just above us, as I record this video. Carlo Ancelotti, look, again, Everton in 6th? I don't think that they've spent all this money, and they've spent a lot of money in the last few years. Last few years, 5-6 years, Everton's net spend is not very high. Has it? Oh, sorry, it is very high. What was I saying? Is that all Carlo Ancelotti's spending? No. But he's still reaping the benefits. He's still getting to play those wonderful players that have been purchased, isn't he? Let's be fair. Still gets to, might not have signed Richarlison, but he still gets to play him. But he does get to bring in wonderful players like James Rodgers, or to you, James Rodriguez. We can't afford players like that. We can't afford to bring players in on 200 grand a week and sign players from Real Madrid. Not a chance. Spends a lot of money. Now, I'm not saying that he can't win Manager of the Year, but you don't spend all that money to finish 6th, particularly when you were sort of there or thereabouts anyway, or so you should be. Everton do as well as Leicester are doing. Yes, but you would have to say, there's no way, comparatively, taking the context into it, Leicester have spent a lot less money over the years than Everton. Leicester are well above Everton. Rodgers would deserve it more than Ancelotti. Which brings us down to us in 7th, and David Moyes as a comparison. And this is why you have to look at it in David Moyes as, when the journalist was saying, you'd have to suggest at this point, and that is this point, a 6-month point, he is in the mix for Manager of the Year. He is. He is. Rewind a year, relegation, not favourites, but candidates, let's say. Relegation candidates. To go from that into a team, I would argue, we are the consistent team in the Premier League over the course of this season. Now, consistent doesn't mean you win every game. You can be consistently crap. We're not that. But you look at our form, there's no big streaks of losses when you look at the form guide, the L's, the losses. There's no loads of those bunched up together. They're always punctuated. There's one punctuated every so often. We don't lose that many games, let's be fair. 5 games, played 19, lost 5 games. It ain't too bad at all. Now, you look at where he's brought us from, you look at where we are and the position we're occupying, you've got to say he is in the mix. Just below us, they've played 2 games Leicester, Aston Villa. If Aston Villa won their 2 games in hand, that's to say they're going to win both their games in hand, they would be 3 points above us. He's done a good job. I don't care what you say. Yes, he has had some money to spend, but he has done a very good job. I think he's loaned well with Ross Barkley there, who's not featured as much as he would like. Ollie Watkins, I mean, he spent big on a striker, 28 million, but you know what? We've spent more than that on a striker before, and it ain't worked out. Let's be fair, I think he's bought well in Matty Cash at right back, and so on and so forth. It's not an Aston Villa review. But my point is, he's not spent hundreds of millions, and they were relegation right up until the point they played us, final game of last season. Stayed up. To go from a team, if I'm going to say it of David Moyes, I'm going to say it from Aston Villa. To go from a relegation team, who had just been promoted, by the way, to 8th, 7th, something like, well, they're 8th, we're 7th. Very, very good. I mean, really good. Unlike, all I would say is, we are very similar. There's 3 points between the 2 teams, us and Aston Villa. The game's in hand. If they won one of them, it's even. You could say, once we played the same games, it's even Stevens. They're more streaky than us. They go on longer winning streaks and longer losing streaks. Whereas we're the tortoise and the hare. No, we're not. You can't be both, can you? What are we? We're the tortoise. I think we're the tortoise, yeah. Maybe something between the two. Maybe a hairy tortoise with big ears that likes carrots. That's us, yeah, that'd do. But it's like the mummy in Scooby-Doo. You know in Scooby-Doo, where the mummy, I'm not talking about your mum, I'm talking about the mummy with the bandages on. And he's walking, he's just going slow. But he still catches up with Scrappy-Doo. It's amazing. And that's us. I think we are sloth, tortoise, mummy-like. But we're getting the job done. I can't look too much beyond that. I mean, everyone wants to talk and say nice things about Southampton. Southampton may finish well. If Southampton, let's be fair, if Southampton play their 1 game in hand and win that, they're level on points with us. Absolutely fine. Great. I wouldn't look anywhere else particularly. Everyone else is flattering to deceive. If Fulham stay up, you might say, do you know what, Fulham, good job. But would you give Scott Parker manager of the season? I'm not so sure. David Moyes, he's in there with a shout, and I'm pleased for him. He seems, at the very least, he's repaired his reputation, which is why we will hopefully be doing a David Moyes Moisty contract video very, very soon. They want to get it sorted out quite soon, the board, obviously, because his stock has risen massively for all the reasons that I've just described. He's done really, really well. Absolute. He's gone from a position of the orphan Oliver with a begging bowl out, hoping for some more, begging for some more, to actually probably wearing the trousers in his relationship with the board, certainly. So well done, David Moyes. Well done, West Ham, on getting through in the Cup. And I think in particular, we now look forward to the next round in the Cup. We can forget about it for 2 or 3 games, concentrate on the league. And David Moyes can maybe look at it and think, okay, good job against Stockport, good job against Doncaster Rovers. I'm playing Manchester United. I fancy me chances. I'm going to come up with a tactical plan. I'm going to beat them. I'm going to show them that it should have been David Moyes at Old Trafford instead of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.